Hi everybody, today we are talking about Fudge Cupcake Murder by Joanne Fluke. Fudge Cupcake Murder is another Hannah Swenson mystery. Of course we are going to have somebody die. Of course we are going to have Hannah somehow help us with the investigation, as is always. In this mystery, Hannah is holding a weekly class of making recipes that are going to be put into the cookbook for their town. And so everybody is volunteering, well, not everybody, but a lot of people have come to volunteer to make the recipes that people have submitted to put in the book to make sure there are no mistakes so that when it's printed, everything is exactly how it should be. One of these recipes is in fact for the fudge cupcakes. And one of the ingredients listed is secret ingredient. And the person that made these recently passed away and never told anyone what the secret ingredient was. She was very much about keeping it a secret. And they're such good cupcakes, and so they want to be able to make these again, but they don't know exactly what it is. So Hannah says, okay, I'm going to continue to try to make these cupcakes, and I will have you taste them, and you will help me out by trying to figure out if the taste is right. And so she tries a couple different things. They figure out that it's not like a nutty taste and it's not too dense, but it's still a thick and really luscious cupcake, but it doesn't feel super dense, super heavy, and it seems like it could possibly be some kind of a fruit. And so she tries different jams and jellies, and it's just the consistency, the texture, and the little chunks of the fruit. That's not how these cupcakes are made. That's not what's part of it. So for pretty much most of the book, she's trying to figure out what this secret ingredient is, all while trying to figure out who killed our latest victim. So this book has to do with, while that is happening, there's also an election going on for the next sheriff. And it's between Bill, who is Hannah's brother-in-law, and Sheriff Grant, who's already been the sheriff for a long time. And so it's the two of them running together, and she is, of course, gonna vote for her brother-in-law to be the new sheriff. But she runs into him on one of these nights where she's trying to figure out these fudge cupcakes, and gives him one to try out, and he leaves the facility to go back to his house or back to his truck or whatever. And Hannah, like an hour later, when they're done with all of their testing of the recipes, goes to empty the trash. And when she opens the dumpster door, lo and behold, Sheriff Grant, with crumbled pieces of the cupcake that she had given him, is dead in the dumpster. And so here we go. She's finding another body. And no, it is not the cupcake that killed him, even though that's kind of what it looks like. So speaking of these cupcakes, let's start measuring some stuff out and getting the batter made. I am very confident that it will not be as hard to make these cupcakes as it was the lemon meringue pie, because they're just cupcakes. I mean, the way that you get the chocolate flavor is actually from blocks of baking chocolate. So that's different. So I've definitely not made cupcakes this way before, but it's still, I mean, it should not be as hard as making a pie. So hopefully by the end of this, we're gonna get a good result this time that I can eat on camera and enjoy on camera and explain how the secret ingredient tastes good with this, which I will tell you what the secret ingredient is eventually once we get to it, because there's a story of my own that goes along with that too. So, ready? Here we go. Measure stuff now. Okay, so this is not all of it, but this is a decent amount of it. So we have our baker's chocolate in here. We have our secret ingredient right here. And we have sugar. And we're gonna put these all together and bake it in the microwave to get it all melty. And then we can make the base of the cupcakes after that. So everybody suspects that it's Bill because, well, if he's running for sheriff and he gets rid of the original sheriff, then he'll automatically get the sheriff's position, right? But of course, Bill's no killer. There's no way he could have done it. So Hannah goes out to try to find the alibis, to try to figure out where Bill was. His alibi, not great. So they're trying to figure out if there's any other way they can prove that he was at home just watching TV or whatever during this time, because if not, it's going to be really hard to figure out a better alibi that is more believable. So it still kind of puts him in some hot water. Norman and Mike are the two guys that Hannah is on and off dating. And Norman happens to be at like a convention during the majority of this book. So he's like not even around. And so we get a lot more of Mike in this story, and which is kind of nice to have, because he wasn't really in the other one as much as Norman was. But Mike is kind of making things a little hard with Hannah because he took Bill off the case. He made Bill stay at home because he's a potential suspect. And Hannah's like, he's not the person that you're looking for. And Mike's like, doesn't matter, still got to do it, even though they're like friends. And so Bill understands, but Hannah still like doesn't really think that that was very cool of Mike to do. Like, yeah, take him off the case, sure, but did he really have to like be like, you can't work at all and do anything, you have to stay home and you are still considered a suspect? Like, it just seemed a little bit harsh in Hannah's eyes. All right, so now we're gonna take some sugar and we're just gonna mix it with some room temperature butter. And after that, we will also mix together like your baking powder, your flour, your salt, and then I assume we combine them together. And at some point we put the chocolate mix in as well. Oh, and by the way, this is my little pig canister of flour that my mom got for me for my birthday, like probably 10 years ago, because I really like pigs. So that's why there's a pig here. So we're gonna mix these together. All right, so we have the butter and the eggs and the sugar right here, and we're gonna gradually be adding some flour, a cup and 2/3 of flour into here with some milk, as well as some salt and baking powder. So there is a character whose name escapes me because I read this like a month ago, and the secret ingredient is what took me so long to make this video for it. So the secret ingredient is from this character who wants to try helping out Hannah figuring out what it is. Says that it is like fruity in some way, but not strawberry, and not like jam, because jam and jelly has like chunks, and it's not that thick of a consistency. And so that was the big trick. I was trying to figure out exactly what the fruit was. Finally, Hannah figures out that it's raspberry, and if it can't be jam or jelly in that kind of consistency, then that means it must be syrup. So raspberry syrup is the secret ingredient that she thinks it just has to be. This is the story for that. I went to the store and could not find raspberry syrup anywhere. And that's why it took so long for me to start this, because I thought, if this is the secret ingredient, it really needs to be right if I'm going to be able to taste this and know what they're talking about in the recipe. So, because I considered maybe I'll just do strawberry syrup instead, because that's what I could find. So I got some strawberry syrup, and then I thought, you know what? No, I need to get raspberry. So I went again, like 2-3 times, maybe more since then, and still could not find it. And there was a spot for it at the store, but they just never had it in stock. And so I went to a different store today, and they didn't have it at all either. Nothing but maple there. So I was like, fine, maybe I'll just go ahead and go back to Walmart and try one more time and see if it's there. And hallelujah, a miracle happened, and they had 2 left. And so I got this, and I already had to use half of it for this recipe. So a whole half cup of raspberry syrup. And this is what she said. She said it would be in the pancake aisle, which is where this was. So I'm assuming this is the right type of syrup that she's talking about. So that is what is in here. And it should be very smooth because of that. There were a couple of like seeds, but again, it's not thick like jam and jelly and stuff like that. So it made for a really thin addition into this chocolate, which smells really great. So all I need to do now is add this, We're supposed to let it not be too hot when we add it because we don't want to cook the eggs too soon. And so hopefully it's been sitting for a minute, so hopefully it's not too bad now. And hopefully me doing this will add some of the temperature of the air into it, so it'll make it a little bit cooler too. And this is just fun to do. So yeah, okay. So anyways, to finish the story though, Hannah is in a really tight spot at the end. She, a lot of times, almost gets herself killed, but it's different this time. It's more intense. It's more like crazy. And it's like, oh my gosh. I really like the way she wrote the ending for this. It happens outdoors at the place of the killer's work. And it's just really cool how she gets into this situation that is like, oh man, you shouldn't have done that because now this is really scary for you. And of course, somebody is going to come to the rescue and just in time and save her. And so, you know, who is it? Is it Mike? Is it Norman back from his convention? Is it her mother who likes to also be a part of Hannah's business? Is it her sister who's super pregnant right now? So that would probably be crazy if it was her sister. I don't know. So yeah, so if you want to know the ending's pretty nice in this one. Okay, let's go ahead and finish this up. All right, so I went ahead and put them in the oven. They do take 20 to 25 minutes to cook. And I totally forgot that there's also a fudge frosting, chocolate frosting that you put on top. I feel like they don't need frosting. I feel like they'll still be rich enough as it is because of the chocolate and the sugar and the raspberry syrup that probably they don't even need frosting. But if I'm gonna make it completely authentic to the book, then I'm gonna have to at least frost some of them and do a test with the frosting. So in 25 minutes or maybe longer, if I've got some things I gotta do, so maybe a little later today, I will resume after they're finished and we will taste them. I'll make the frosting and we'll see how that goes. All right, so here they are. They caved in, which has never happened to me when I've made things like muffins and stuff, at least not caved in this much. So I don't know what happened there, but it's just a look thing. It's fine. If you fill it in with frosting, you can't even tell. So, like I said earlier, I'm going to try it plain because I don't really care about having too much rich frosting. But I'm also going to try it the way the book did and do a second one with frosting. And the frosting is just sweetened condensed milk mixed with some chocolate chips. So I will show you me making that right now. While that is cooling a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and try it plain, and then we will frost it and try it the other way. Since I had an errand to run, I had to leave before I could take these out of the pan, as you can see. So they've been sitting here in the pan since they came out of the oven, which don't do that because it's not wanting to come out now because it hardened more in the pan after it was out of the oven. Rookie mistake. But yeah, I really just had to get out of the door. So I just didn't give myself enough time. Totally my fault. So it's fine. I probably just cooked them a little bit too long in addition to leaving them in the pan. So they're a little crisp on the top, but they seem okay in the middle. They have a really great chocolate taste. That baker's chocolate is really great in this, actually. And the raspberry is not overwhelming, to me anyway. If you don't like raspberry, then maybe you don't want something that has fruit in it. Maybe you just like your chocolate plain. But it is still really good in the middle. It's definitely not dry. And yeah, the raspberry is not overwhelming at all. It tastes really good. Though I will say, I don't have the most amazing palate, so if I didn't know that raspberry was in this and someone just said, can you tell what the secret ingredient is? I don't know that I would be able to tell, honestly. But if you are really good at tasting things, then you would be able to tell. Let's go ahead and try it with the frosting. All right, here's one with frosting. It is gonna drip all over the place because I'm not gonna wait for it to like solidify. It's just chocolate chips with sweet condensed milk, so I can't imagine that this is gonna taste like your regular frosting. I mean, it's obviously not thick and, you know, like whipped or anything. And I didn't want to put so much to make it too rich, so it just filled in that hole a little bit, but you can still tell that it's flat and, you know, it's not, it doesn't matter. Okay, I'm gonna try it now. It does add something to it. It is nice. It does taste really good. Because I didn't put an overwhelming amount, I think that helps. If you love frosting, then put as much as you want, but for me, this is plenty. It adds another texture, so it adds another element of like a creaminess on top of the crunchiness. Because yeah, I probably didn't need to do it as long, cook it as long, or at least have taken it out of the pan would have helped. Okay, well, that's that. These are fudge cupcakes from the book Fudge Cupcake Murder by Joanne Fluke. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.